Joe, I referee your fights in the past, no problems. I don't expect any problems tonight. With a clean fight, obey my commands at all times. Remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him up.
If there's a fighter alive capable of handing Joe Calzaghe his first professional defeat, it's Bernard Hopkins. He certainly knows how to do it after having studied Calzaghe. The question is, at 43, can he physically implement what he knows how to do?
Watch out for headbutts. In 2 of Hopkins' last 4 fights, the opponent wound up with a cut as the result of a butt. And Hopkins acknowledges that he spent a good deal of time studying tape of Calzaghe's fight with Sakio Bika a year and a half ago, in which a headbutt cut clearly bothered Calzaghe. He called it the worst cut of his career.
And to point out just what you said, Hopkins made his first aggressive move. He ran in with his head down again, as you see right there. He looks like he's focusing as much on keeping his head down, whether it's for protection or to cause a butt as it is punching.
Bring out.
Calzaghe makes his first spirited forward rush of the fight, and they wind up tied together on the ropes. Cortez breaks them up.
And Calzaghe got the better of that head exchange as he seemed to bother Hopkins with his own head on the inside.
Well, Calzaghe, when asked what he would do about Hopkins' supposedly demonstrated penalty, right goes Calzaghe down on a perfect right hand shot by Hopkins. And Joe Calzaghe's been down before, but never in a big fight.
No, Hopkins moved in like he was going to move into a clinch and shot a short, direct, point-to-point right hand.
What an embarrassment to Calzaghe, and already an extra point on the scorecard for Hopkins.
In Calzaghe's first big fight against Chris Eubank, he was also dropped early in the fight, got up and dominated Eubank in an excellent fight the rest of the way.
It was a long time ago.
And Chris Eubank ain't Bernard Hopkins.
Hopkins isn't exactly a knockout puncher, but he landed that right hand straight on the chin.
You have 2 fighters who are probably the 2 best adjustable fighters in boxing today. Calzaghe proved that in his last fight with Kessler, where he came back and turned the fight around, and Bernard does the same thing. So you're going to see a lot of adjustments in this fight as it goes on.
And already in round 1, Calzaghe is showing tremendous respect for Hopkins' counter-punching skills. The Joe Calzaghe, who throws 70 to 80 punches per round, is nowhere evident so far, as his punch output is clearly being limited by his respect for Hopkins. Momentary door-to-door skirmishes, spaced apart by periods of inactivity. That's a Bernard Hopkins fight, and that's what we're looking for so far in round 1. Or looking at so far in round 1. One punch at a time for Calzaghe, not his game. And there's a trickle of blood on the nose of Calzaghe, right on the bridge of the nose. Perhaps the product of the right hand that dumped him on his shorts. What a great start for Hopkins in round 1 against Joe Calzaghe.
But outside of the knockdown, the round would have been even. Maybe Calzaghe would have won it.
So, the best stop fighting fight. When they left hand and not working. You wouldn't know. Really? Yeah. You know from the left hand all. So that's too much of leg. His leg, that's all he feels. Good. No problem. You didn't make it right. You let him make the right hand. You stand in front of him. Get it? All right. Nice round. Keep using those things. Head movement. And don't forget the body for me, okay? All right? It's very nice.
Here you see Bernard moving in as if he's going to go into a clinch and shoot a perfect pinpoint short right hand. Couldn't have been any better than that. And the fact that Calzaghe wasn't even expecting that, because from that shorter distance, it would have made it had much more effect than if it had been a long-range punch.
And any chance Calzaghe had of standing up was eliminated when Hopkins continued to proceed forward, and with their shoulders engaged, managed to go ahead and finish the knockdown by putting Calzaghe onto his trunks. Total punches in round 1 by CompuBox count. Hopkins only threw 16, landed 4. Calzaghe 7 out of 35. Again, those kinds of numbers reflect a Bernard Hopkins round.
Bernard wants to slow the fight down. fight in spots and keep Calzaghe from getting in his rhythm, because Calzaghe is a rhythm fighter. If he goes on and gets into his rhythm later on, he still could turn this fight around. But right now, the fight is going just the way Bernard wants it to be.
You know, people talk a lot about Bernard Hopkins' work rate or lack thereof. But in preparation for the fight, no one has a better work rate. He trains as hard as anybody. And that's why he's able at the age of 43 to even go 12 good rounds with these great younger fighters.
And also, Bernard probably, I don't think anybody ever known in boxing is more intelligent in studying films and analyzing every movement of the body and hands.
Preparation.
Unbelievable, not just physically, but also in preparation of studying and analyzing opponents.
Every time Calzaghe nears Hopkins, Bernard is reaching out and clutching him with the left arm. And he's managing to do it most of the time on the opposite side of Joe Cortez. Ricky Hatton complained long and loud about how Cortez refereed the Hatton-Mayweather fight in December. There were some British fighters who felt as though Cortez didn't give Hatton a chance to do his thing.
Bring out. What's punching behind the head? What's punching behind the head?
Well, Mayweather had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and I think so far it's Hopkins who's keeping Calzaghe from doing his thing. And Bernard landed another straight right counter punch. That's his best shot, and he's landed it again in this round. Calzaghe beginning to get a chance to let his hands go. It's still showing a lot of respect to Hopkins on the inside. You see the blood again trickling from the little cut on the bridge of Joe Calzaghe's nose.
Calzaghe seems to be getting his rhythm going a little bit here. He's a rhythm fighter. He's starting to punch, bob, and weave. He's making adjustments to Hopkins and making Bernard fight at a little faster pace than he wants to fight at.
Hey, come on, take your legs up. All right, good leg up. Okay. All right.
Low blow by Calzaghe. Once again, Hopkins reaches that left arm out. Momentarily holds Calzaghe, then drops it as Cortez comes in.
All right, break. Let him out.
It's going to be a test of Joe Calzaghe's will to see if he can find a way to let his punches flow, as has been the case in his resounding victories in recent years. So far, it's hot and tech.
I believe he will. As the fight goes on, I see him getting into his rhythm now. Bernard is throwing one punch and lunging in with his head down at the same time, never trying to put together a series of combinations.
Immediately following this broadcast, countdown to De La Hoya Forbes, part of our Emmy-nominated countdown series. Then the live fight, Oscar De La Hoya against Steve Forbes, Saturday, May 3.
Sorry. Don't clinch. All right, don't worry about it. Counter right away.
Punch it behind the head right now, okay, on the clinch, all right?
Water. Okay. Okay.
CompuBox numbers so far figure Calzaghe for having thrown 33 jabs and landed none. Obviously, if he's going to get that two-fisted rhythm going, he's going to have to start landing his jab at some point.
Yeah, both guys are very difficult to land clean punches on. Both of them are very good defensive fighters.
And now Calzaghe goes with the lead left hand down the middle and lands it. That may be a tactic that he would use to greater effect as time goes on.
Guys, I got to tell you, I think the majority of the effective punches have been landed by Hopkins, including in the last round. Bernard said going into this fight, he's not going to be able to beat me on flair. And I don't see Calzaghe beating Hopkins on flair so far.
All right, stop.
Hopkins getting in 3 right-hand body shots before Cortez pulled him apart. Bernard Hopkins is extremely adept at getting in subtle punishment when the two fighters are engaged in what might be called clinches, and it doesn't look like much is going on. Something is going on. Like that.
Bernard's a very cagey guy, and one of his heroes is the famous middleweight from Philadelphia, Benny Briscoe, and he's, who kept his head down, which avoided from getting hit, made opponents hurt their hands, but also he's landing very short, accurate punches. Calzaghe is busy, but his punches are more of a slap. Bernard's a more crisp, more accurate, more body weight.
Calzaghe's game is to fight at a moderate distance. So far, Hopkins is making him fight either from great distance or in a phone booth, up close. Both of those situations are better for Hopkins.
Bernard is fighting the fight that he wants to fight. Calzaghe cannot fight the fight he wants to fight at this stage.
And that's saying something, because Calzaghe's always been able to impose his style on his opponent.
But still, as the fight goes on, I think he's going to step it up whether he wins or loses, because he's just that type of a guy. He makes great adjustment, and once he senses he may be losing the fight, he does become more intense.
Well, the first adjustment that appears necessary here is how to find a distance at which he can mount his offense without getting sucked into Bernard's vortex. And it seems to me that minute by minute, he's beginning to feel his way toward that. You see his hands flowing more rhythmically here in round 3. Calzaghe getting in hard left hands in the clinch, much as Hopkins has been able to do with right hands in the past. The crowd boos as Cortez warns Calzaghe. Body shots by Calzaghe. Hopkins drives him away with a counter right. Both fighters landed in that sequence.
Yeah, he's doing the pace, he can't maintain after. Okay, can you keep it going, Joe? Yeah. How do you feel? It feels good, Joe. And load the left hand side, left, right, left. All right, double combination.
Keep a tight guard, though.
What? Keep it today, yeah, but you've been too worried about the tight guard. That's what's catching you. It's catching you because you relax it to control the neck. You need to be careful. Yeah. You have to be careful, Joe.
Yeah, cool.
You've got to start stepping these rounds up. You start stepping up, a bit too cautious. He's catching on the cautious, right? When you hear me? You just can't get away with one punch, okay? He's been sucking for the right hand, come back to the left hook. Feign him, right hand, left hook, he's gonna work all night long, I promise you. All right? Let's go. Deep breath.
Freddie Roach is the head trainer in Hopkins' corner. He actually has 4 people on his staff. Might be called a kind of joint chiefs of staff arrangement. Trainer Mackie Shillstone, John David Jackson to talk about southpaw and defense, Nassim Richardson, who's been an assistant trainer throughout his career, and Freddie Roach. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Look at you, 2 rounds to 1, 29-27, Bernard Hopkins. You got to give him an extra point to round 1, just like you said for the knockout. But Jim, I got to tell you, Bernard's got Joe Calzaghe fighting his fight. In other words, Hopkins' fight. Calzaghe rushes in, and Bernard hits him with a right hand. I thought Joe was busy enough to win round 2, but certainly in round 3, the Hopkins right hand was more effective. 2 rounds to 1, Hopkins.
Round 3 CompuBox numbers began to look the way Calzaghe would want them to look. But just because you have the numbers doesn't mean you won the round.
Big right hand from Hopkins.
And Calzaghe looks bewildered at Hopkins' tactics.
Come here. I tell you, I don't want any rough tactics. I don't want to take any points. I just want to fight either one of you, understand? It's a clean fight. Let's go, time in.
You heard Freddie Roach tell Hopkins, right hand, or feint right hand, left hook. It'll work all night.
Bernard's most effective punch is, and usually has always been, back and back, and then throwing a right hand just like that with his head bent down at the same time. That's his most effective. He doesn't put a flow of combinations together, but he's very effective with that right hand.
All right, bring on.
Partially effective because you have to worry about the head and the right hand at the same time.
Absolutely.
Calzaghe dropping his hands. trying to rush Hopkins the way he was so successfully able to do against Jeff Lacey of the United States a couple of years ago. Hopkins fighting off the ropes with his counter-punching accuracy.
Yeah, and it seems to me continuing to land the cleaner, more effective punches, although in this round not landing as many of them.
Stop.
And I think my point about Hopkins being the bigger man is proven out as they stand and face each other in the ring. The one in height advantage we knew about, but he's stronger in the upper body than Calzaghe.
Yeah, you know, when they had the weigh-in, which they request you to do, you don't have to do it, it's mandatory. When you come to the arena, I think they said Calzaghe weighed 181 tonight. Bernard refused to weigh in tonight for the second weigh-in.
That's why we showed you no unofficial weights.
Watch your foot.
Southpaw against a conventional fighter. The lead feet will often get tangled up. And you heard Joe Cortez saying, watch your foot. Hopkins, for some reason, stands in a neutral corner to watch the round card girl come in, and then finally turns away to walk to his own corner.
Okay. Steve. They start using the thing. He's dropping his head. Right up. Right? Move the other way. Move the other way, but you're reluctant to do any combinations. He doesn't mind them. What's that like to speak on? Between. Yeah, okay.
Here you see Bernard land a right hand, and as he usually does, he follows up, not with a left hook like he would. We use it with physical tactics, such as hitting you with his head or shoulder. But he's been successful with it in most of his career, and if he can get away with it, more power to him.
Then he hits Calzaghe from behind in the ear, and that's when Cortez pulled them together and had a discussion with them, saying he didn't want any roughhousing tactics. CompuBox numbers in the fourth round. Hopkins, 7 of 29. Calzaghe, 14 out of 51. The numbers are beginning to favor Calzaghe in every round, but as Max Kellerman points out, the numbers don't necessarily reflect who lands the cleaner, more identifiable shot.
Well, at this stage now, Calzaghe seems to have gotten more comfortable with the rhythm and flow of the fight, and is setting the tempo, and Bernard is losing his balance. He can't time Calzaghe as good as he would earlier, and he's the one that's getting off balance himself a little bit right here.
When Calzaghe drops his hands in front of his opponent and does that showboaty kind of stuff, it's generally an indication that he's feeling comfortable and ready to start really doing his thing. I'm surprised when he does that, Hopkins doesn't punch.
Don't hold the head down, man. Let's go. Let's go.
That time, Calzaghe very concertedly covering up inside to make sure Hopkins didn't land anything. More and more, Calzaghe is concentrating on trying to develop combat from the outside and avoiding it inside.
But you know, Jim, as you said, the more identifiable punches, whenever I see sweat flying, it's generally flying off of Calzaghe's face due to a clean shot from Hopkins.
Although Calzaghe landed a good striking left hand in that last exchange.
Indeed.
Let's go. Let's fight.
Calzaghe seems much more relaxed now than in the first couple of rounds.
Well, he's figured out that Bernard's biggest weapon is just simply that one short right hand lead that he throws when he pushes his head in. And beyond that, Bernard is not having a good flow of anything else.
Stop. All right, stop.
Fascinating. Hopkins is quite vocal in saying, I have to win the fight in the middle of the ring. For the last two rounds, he has circled the ring with his back to the ropes constantly. Maybe he didn't mean that he had to win the fight in the middle of the ring. Or maybe he likes the way he's fighting off the ropes.
But he was fighting very good, and the right hand that he knocked Calzaghe down was similar to the right hand he really knocked out with him for the most part, Robert Allen.
All right, stop right there.
Now we see some deception in Hopkins' defense. He talked about before the fight the old Jersey Joe Walcott turning, making it look as though he's walking away, and then coming back with a quick right hand left hook. He's starting to take that Walcott posture, if not throw the punches.
Good right hand to the body by Hopkins there. Earlier, Calzaghe landed a good straight left hand to the body and the left upstairs.
Get him out.
Calzaghe getting in more punches and a good left hand that clocks Hopkins before the bell. Hopkins felt the need to fight back after the bell.
I just found a method of fighting. What? I just found a method of fighting now.
Later tonight, West Coast viewers can catch the latest installment of Real Sports, featuring an interview with presidential candidate Barack Obama on his love of basketball.
I can't imagine more fun than having a good pickup basketball game.
With Hillary Clinton, perhaps. East Coast viewers can see a replay of the show tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And April 29, it's a special live edition of Costas Now. Bob Costas leads a town hall-style discussion into the relationship between sports and media.
You need more than 1 2 shots. They show the combinations. When you show combinations, you can't handle your team. Okay? Combinations.
CompuBox numbers on power shots in round 5. Hopkins 10 out of 31, Calzaghe 11 out of 32. In other words, virtually even.
And Calzaghe gave his fans something to sing about that round, apparently, Jim.
Or maybe they just wanted to sing. It's become a repeating pattern of Calzaghe stalking Hopkins as Hopkins circles the ring with his back near the ropes and looks for counter-punching opportunities.
This could be a difficult fight to score because Calzaghe looks very comfortable. He's coming in, but he doesn't have any power. His punches are just a little flurries inside. Bernard lands the cleaner punches, but Bernard only would throw one punch and then smother you right away after that. So it can be a very rough fight to score.
Calzaghe is starting to make his left hand produce music upstairs. Landing more solidly, landing more consistently than in the first 2 rounds. Remember, in case you joined us late, there was a knockdown in round 1. Bernard Hopkins catching Joe Calzaghe in the middle of the face with a perfect right-hand counter shot and dumping him onto his butt.
Break out, please.
Calzaghe is putting more pressure on Bernard than any fighter that I can recall in years. He's coming to him all the time, and Bernard is having problems trying to time him now. And I'm surprised that Calzaghe hasn't stepped back and shot a left uppercut when Bernard goes forward, because Bernard runs with his head down every time.
Hard right-hand body shot by Hopkins amid a flurry by Calzaghe.
There certainly has been a momentum shift over the last couple rounds, where Calzaghe seems to be more effective and Bernard throwing even fewer punches than he did earlier. Although there caught Calzaghe.
Good left-hand counter by Bernard there. Now Calzaghe is beginning to regain confidence in his jab. Couldn't land it early in the fight. Switched to throwing the straight left hand lead. Now follows up with the straight left hand and catches Hopkins against the ropes. Hopkins coming forward with his head while throwing a right-hand body
one
shot.
Punch. He throws one punch and lunges forward with his head usually, consistently. And I'm surprised Calzaghe is really not fighting a smart fight league. Even though he's competitive, he could easily, by moving and boxing in and out a little bit, he could fight a much smarter fight.
Now Calzaghe starts to get the kind of spirited combat he wants. Cortez throws Calzaghe to the floor, pulling him off.
Okay, Bernard. I want a clean round. I don't want rough taxes. I don't want to start taking any points. Give me a clean fight.
Yo, this guy's still going behind the head, too.
Yeah.
Okay. No, we're fucking good. You want to get this guy stop you or just stop him?
I want it for the same thing, no rough taxes. I want it for the same thing. I won't start taking any points from either one of you.
I'm telling you now, do you want him to stop you? Or you want to stop him? That's the fucking way it's going to go. That's the way it's going to go. Are you with me now? Make your fucking up to the powder here, right? Right through the A's, through the A's. You attack the 4-5.
That's the most combative I've ever seen Enzo Calzaghe in dealing with his son. Combi Box averages through the 6th round. Hopkins averages 8 lands in 31 punches. Calzaghe averages 15 lands in 53 punches. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, the last 3 rounds, I thought Joe Calzaghe's aggressiveness and clean punching, he just won them all. Anyway, 4 rounds to 2, 57, 56, Joe Calzaghe. Now, there's only a 1-point difference because Hopkins has that extra point for the knockdown. But you know, Jim, in the last 3 rounds, Joe's coming in, he's really getting into his rhythm. He's using the right jab more, landed a lot of straight left hands. He's just landing more clean, effective shots. Hopkins landed an occasional right hand, but not much more. 4-2, Calzaghe.
Emmanuel, do you agree that Calzaghe is getting closer to fighting his fight?
Yeah, so he still could do a little bit more by making Bernard fall off balance, because Bernard fights with his head to the floor. But I think Calzaghe, as I said, is getting into his rhythm now, much like he did with Mikhail Castro. But you know, Bernard still is capable of scoring another knockdown somewhere the way he fights, and could even still make the decision even closer and more in his favor.
Emmanuel, you mentioned how hard this fight is to score. I think the 2nd and the 5th rounds could have gone either way. And those, you know, you get a lot of swing rounds, and it's difficult to come to a conclusion as to who won the fight.
You're right. I agree with you. It's a very difficult fight, especially the knockdown. And I think Bernard still is capable of scoring another knockdown.
Well, I think it's also possible that the 3rd round, which Harold Letterman gave to Hopkins, could conceivably have gone to Calzaghe, who was by far the busier fighter.
So 3 swing rounds, at least.
Exactly. But we expected that the rounds would be difficult to score. That was the case in both of Hopkins' fights with Jermaine Taylor.
No, and for those who would be critical of Hopkins' style here, I know Calzaghe's not a spring chicken, but this is a 43-year-old fighter that's ancient in boxing.
And you know, it's amazing, too. I've never saw Bernard Hopkins ever decisively beaten. And I saw all of his fights virtually, including the fight to Roy Jones. He lost the decision, but he was never really beaten, and he didn't have much experience. And we saw the fight with Jermaine Taylor.
He's boxing's Greg Maddox. He's just an incredible athlete.
Amazing man.
Well, he spent 17 years fighting in the 160-pound weight class. And Emmanuel Stewart, you began to observe toward the end of his middleweight reign that maybe he would be better suited to move up in weight. He looked so spectacular in his first light heavyweight fight against Antonio Tarver that you were tempted to wonder, well, what might he have been if he had been a light heavyweight for 4 or 5 years prior to that?
He has been a light heavyweight. He's always, without even in training, eating nothing but vegetables and, you know, running every day at 5 or 6 in the morning. He was always, and still he was very weak making 160. He's been a light heavyweight a long time.
Calzaghe scores a rally along the ropes. Hopkins felt the need to retaliate. The best way to make Bernard Hopkins fight offensively is to go hit it, as Calzaghe is doing.
That's what I was saying right there. Calzaghe almost was knocked down again, simply because of the way Bernard is letting him run in off balance.
How do you score that round?
I think Calzaghe should have won the round, but he almost lost a 2-point round.
Yeah. Okay, right the 8, okay? Yeah. He's feeling it now, Joy's feeling it now, right? But you've got to start the 8, the 3-4-8, 3-4-8. You're throwing a big left hand but not landing it in. Right,
this guy's ready to be taken. You can start walking him down. You're the stronger man, okay? Cold towel.
Here you see Calzaghe come in throwing his typical punches, really no power, more of an amateur type slapping punches, but they get points, and also leaving himself open for Bernard's punches. Bernard caught it with a short right hand right there.
I know Calzaghe
with his head down.
I know Calzaghe dominated that round, but that right hand almost put Calzaghe down.
Harold Letterman gave the round to Hopkins. So, you know, that underlines your point, Max. Power shots in round 7. Calzaghe landing 20 of 45, 10 in the last minute of the round. But Hopkins landed 12 of 32, and perhaps because of that hard right hand toward the end, Letterman gives the round to Hopkins, which evens the fight on his scorecard.
The real question you ask when scoring a round, or at least I ask myself, is who would I rather have been that round? I'd rather be the guy who's doing the damage.
I thought that Calzaghe won the round. I think the fact that he didn't go down and it was just one clean blow, I would still say he hustled that round, I believe.
This is the challenge the judges are facing tonight.
And I suspect the judges agree with you, Emmanuel.
Bernard is very cagey still at all times, always looking for that one little punch.
Yeah, I almost had to laugh listening to Freddie Roach say to Bernard Hopkins, if you start walking this man down, you can knock him out. When's the last time we saw Bernard Hopkins try to walk somebody down? Segundo Mocado?
It's back when he's back to Antoine Hopkins. I thought was his last really aggressive fight. Even when he beat Trinidad and Oscar, he patiently waited his time. He lost the early part of the fights there. He's always been patient.
Bring out.
Another four-punch rally by Calzaghe, punctuated by a right-hand counterpunch from Hopkins. That shows you how quick Bernard can still be.
Yeah, and I like what the referee did. He didn't do anything. Let them both do one dirty punch apiece and leave them alone. But Calzaghe just slapping with his punches.
Trying to chop Hopkins down with a chopping left hand. There's a solid left from Calzaghe. Hopkins lands his right. Hopkins is an elusive target as you follow him into the corner.
Yeah, very, very, very cagey guy. Looked like to be in great shape too for his age.
Body movement, head movement, little steps left and right. He knows every trick to make himself difficult to hit. Sometimes Calzaghe wants to pull the trigger on a punch and just can't find Bernard.
But I tell you what, he's taking a tempo that Bernard is not that comfortable with.
Calzaghe constantly trying to apply pressure, trying to speed the tempo of the fight, trying to make the 43-year-old man fight, and now showboating around the ring.
You're running. If you carry this way for it, all right? You're boxing for your face. You can't stick your face. That's knackered. He's knackered. Yeah. He's throwing the left hand. You're throwing left on its own. On its own. You've got part of combination. Where's the fucking 4 C's gone? Yeah.
Yeah. On my head. Bernard, when you're throwing the combinations, this guy can't handle you. All right? Now here, these rounds getting a little close. You can't win more combinations. You hear me? All right?
Here you see Calzaghe throwing punches. Right there is a case of just his time and his rhythm has came into play now, and it's being a big factor as the fight moves on now.
He shortened up his punches to try to make sure of landing against the elusive Hopkins. He's taking power off, but opting for accuracy, and it's beginning to pay off.
They said he's very, very adaptable at changing and adjusting to do whatever he has to do to win a fight.
County box numbers in 8. Hopkins 15 out of 38. Calzaghe 22 out of 65, including 7 out of 28 jabs. That's the best Calzaghe has done with his jab in the entire fight. We're into the 9th round of a scheduled 12. And the urgency of the issue is portrayed in the way Enzo Calzaghe is trying to whip his horse into the stretch here.
But he still ought to be good straight left.
Good straight left hand by Calzaghe. Right on the button. More and more he's been able to target that punch. Jab lands for Calzaghe, and this time he blocks the right hand counter. That's been pretty rare. Hopkins gets in the right hand counter, but another little flurry by Calzaghe of these short punches which are designed to be accurate and land.
He's made his adjustment. His punches are short enough as he comes into this. He said he adjusts his situation. I was surprised when he fought Jeff Lacey that he actually beat Lacey on the inside with uppercuts when he wanted to.
Calzaghe reminds me at this point of the hitter who shortens his swing against a knuckleball pitcher. He's trying to take the simplest, shortest cut possible to find the ball.
What he did there is what he should have been doing more in the fight. When Bernard starts coming forward, just merely pull back, because Bernard would lose his balance because he punches with his head down as he comes forward.
There's a difference in their approaches, as we mentioned earlier. Calzaghe is jazz, like his father, the jazz musician. It's improvisational. He figures it out as he goes along. Hopkins meticulously prepares his game plan.
And has an almost mathematical approach to trying to win.
And maybe that improvisational ability is what we're seeing here.
Hard Hard right hand for Hopkins, but Joe was rolling with the punch.
And he's coming right back and not letting Bernard really take the play. He's still setting the tempo. And Bernard is having a time, trying to time and figure his rhythm out. And now he's just lunging forward now.
American judges tend to favor aggression fighters, fighters who come forward.
And
More and
especially
more
in Las
definitively
Vegas.
here, that's Calzaghe.
And now for the first time this round, Calzaghe is landing the punches that are making the sweat fly.
Hold on, Calzaghe.
Another straight left hand for Hopkins. Excuse me, for Calzaghe. As he stepped in. Hopkins' hands don't seem to have the same zip that they had in the first 6 rounds.
He's never been pressured like this. Nobody's ever pressured him in a fight. Trinidad, Oscar, always, everybody respected him. This guy's pressuring him and mentally intimidating him, too.
Stop by your combination. Start your combination. And the jab's got to land. Land the jab. He's got fuck all in there now, right? He's doing the same old pattern now. Rat-a-ta-ta, rat-a-ta-ta. Follow the ball. Where he goes rat-a-ta. Bring the spin him off and bring the uppercuts in. You listen to me, Joe. You listen to me, Deb. You want the next 4 rounds in big style. Big style. I think this guy's ready to be knocked out. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me.
Yeah, listen, well, let's tell him how to do it. Listen, now when you move your feet up to him and you're making him use his legs, you've got to punch with him, okay?
He's gone away.
All right, now come on.
You understand?
Yeah,
He's letting you stopping you punching.
Come on, Joe.
Here you see Joe landing the punch that he's been landing very effectively as the fight goes on. Straight right hand, a left hand, and sometimes he changes up and loops it on the outside, which is causing problems for Bernard trying to figure out where the left hand is coming from.
Well, Max Kellerman talked about Calzaghe's improvisational quality. More and more as the fight has gone on, he has found answers for the riddle of Bernard Hopkins. CompuBox numbers in 9, Calzaghe 25 out of 61. His high number for landed punches in the fight, Hopkins 13 out of 41. Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
86, 84, 6 rounds to 3. Joe Calzaghe. Jim, the last 2 rounds were incredibly easy rounds to score. I mean, you've been saying it's a tough round to score. Calzaghe, the aggressive guy, and Bernard throwing fewer and fewer punches.
And down goes Hopkins on a low blow. No point deduction so far.
Yeah, for 5 minutes.
Cortez is going to give him up to 5 minutes. It's the second time in the fight that Calzaghe has been ruled to have hit Hopkins with a low blow.
Low blow.
Well, I think we can rest assured any more low blows and Calzaghe will be penalized. He pulls Calzaghe's head down.
Yep. That was not an intentional low blow by no reason. It really wasn't that bad anyway. The part on the cup where it hit was not that damaging, to me, at least my opinion.
I mean, if that caused that reaction from Hopkins, then maybe we're underrating Calzaghe's punching power the entire fight. That did not seem like a big punch that would cause this kind of a reaction.
I wonder if Hopkins is choosing to stop Calzaghe's flowing momentum here by taking as long as possible to recover.
That's not going to happen. Calzaghe's got his rhythm. He's wired up right now.
Now Calzaghe's playing to the crowd, walking back and forth in the ring with his hands out as if to say, come on.
And Hopkins, unlike almost every fighter that you see in this situation, is taking every second he can.
And grimacing as though he's still in pain. And limping as though he's having difficulty walking.
Refusing to be pressured into taking less than 5 minutes.
Is it an Oscar-winning performance, or did Calzaghe land a bomb? You don't often get nominated for an Academy Award for a movie that takes place in April.
That said, we did not take the punch.
That's true.
Maybe it was debilitating.
Straight right hand by Hopkins. jumping forward as he threw it. Calzaghe with his hands down around his waist. Hopkins elected to tackle him high.
You've got to watch Hopkins' right hand set at all times. He's very dangerous with that right hand lead.
Come on. I want you wrestling inside, man. You know what tactic.
Suddenly the fight looks like it did in round one.
They're both going shoulder to shoulder, head to head. If Calzaghe was smart, he would just really take a step back and make Hopkins lose his balance and then punch. As long as he's meeting punch to punch, anyone could get butted or either one could get hit.
Well, it's not in Joe Calzaghe to simply make Bernard Hopkins come to him. He's a go-forward fighter, always has been.
Bring on, come on, let go. I will not take any points, but I can't hold any one of you.
Joe Cortez there explicitly stating, I'm not trying to take any points.
Stop right there.
And Hopkins gets in two low blows on Calzaghe on the opposite side away from Cortez. They weren't big shots.
No,
but they were reminders that he'll do whatever he has to do.
Calzaghe is taking big leaps forward where he can easily time him. He's getting a little careless as he's running in now.
Looks like Hopkins needed a breather. He took it, and he seems like he's better for it.
Absolutely. Seems a bit rejuvenated.
Stop!
This round may be on the table as we come to the last 10 seconds. And both guys let their hands go, but neither lands anything of major consequence.
Hi, boy. Tap. Hi, B. That was you. Lorenz.
Don't worry about left hand. You're concerned defense only. You're boxing style. Defense only first. You can do that many times. You can throw 5 or 6 they're gone. Why are you putting 5 or 6 in? Where are they?
Okay.
Then you've been saying okay for the last 6 rounds.
Joe, you got to win these 2 rounds speed.
You're not doing it. You're not doing it. Your left hand is flat.
Yeah, you see the low blow, and it was actually he was starting to punch in the proper area, but the fact he got his head pulled down is what caused the blow to actually go low. But it still didn't seem to be that damaging and then that bad of area was it didn't come underneath the cup.
The largest number of punches ever landed against Bernard Hopkins in a prize fight. Roy Jones landed 206 blows by CompuBox count back in 1993. Coming to this round, Joe Calzaghe has landed 189 punches already on Bernard Hopkins. In all likelihood, it's going to finish the fight having landed more punches than anyone's ever landed against Hopkins in a CompuBox counted fight.
Heading into this fight, conventional wisdom was that Calzaghe, younger, faster, higher volume of punches, would outwork Bernard and win a close decision. And that's what it looks like it's on its way to being this fight. The question now is, can the great old fighter pull something out of his bag of tricks
Well,
and pull off the upset?
Calzaghe may help him back. He's covered in so careless there, leaving himself wide open. And Bernard still is a KGO guy. He still can punch. And he has good eyes so he can see opportunities.
2 of the 3 judges who are scoring the fight are very recognizable faces, well known here in Las Vegas. The third is a judge from Illinois, whose record is not all that intelligible to us. Don't know that much about it. We'll show you the judges later on as the fight progresses toward the decision.
In spite of all the work that Hopkins has done with Mackie Shilstone, the great conditioning coach, it seemed to me at the end of the last round, when they were both flurrying, Hopkins' old, tired arms were just unable to keep up with Calzaghe.
Well, you made the point that you thought maybe Hopkins took a long rest after the low blow to recover a bit from the exertion of the fight. Mackie Shilstone has a tremendous record in having conditioned fighters for special challenges, including helping Bernard Hopkins become a light heavyweight to fight Antonio Tarver.
He's did a fantastic job with all of the fighters he worked with. And to me, one of his masterpieces, though, aside from the Michael Spinks preparing him to win the title from Larry Holmes, was Roy Jones, moving way up to heavyweight, where he looked very good and natural.
That time Calzaghe backed Hopkins off in an exchange of flurries.
You know, and subtly, Calzaghe has been able to force Hopkins to fight more of his fight, flurrying with Calzaghe with his back against the rope.
Stop, stop! Stop, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Chopping left hand by Calzaghe. Now, Hopkins is claiming another low blow, but Cortez didn't see it.
Let's go, Bernard. Come on, let's go. No, you need to go. Let's go, come on.
Hopkins claiming he was hit in the cup. Cortez didn't see it. Consequently, there'll be no penalty. Cortez says go right ahead and fight.
But might there be retaliation?
Hopkins trying to retaliate with his big right hand.
Look. Come on, let me have your hand. Let's go, let's go.
If they want to trade, Calzaghe will land more. It's as simple as that.
Calzaghe's rhythm and timing is just too much for Bernard.
Last fucking leg you left it for. Is he cheating, man? Fucking cheat my ass! Don't worry about a cheating. What he's doing is what the fuck are you doing? What do you think? You should have done a long time ago. That's all you want to do. Why leave it to round 11? Let me have a water walk. Let me water's empty. Water what? Fucking, I guess a fucking water. Fucking, don't get it. Out. 3 deep. Over. You don't win this round. It's fucking over. You got to stop him. You've got to stop him. And you got it.
Now here. Go out there and own the guy.
Win the fight.
All right, go out there.
You win in the fight.
Now let's finish strong. Let's finish strong.
Round 12 begins. Freddie Roach urging Hopkins to finish strong. Enzo Calzaghe with a flurry of F-bombs for his son.
You know, but in the corners, Hopkins' corner feels he's ahead, and Calzaghe's corner seems to feel Calzaghe's behind, saying that he needs a knockout.
I heard Leon Tabbs tell Bernard Critter that he's winning the fight.
Yep.
Which was surprising to
You
me.
never know whether he means it. You know, I mean, with an older fighter like Bernard, wouldn't you say that anyway, simply to keep him motivated and keep him going? And I think in the case of Enzo Calzaghe, he's trying to urgently whip his fighter into continuing to throw, continuing to let his energy flow.
I would tell Bernard, every punch you throw with full power. You know, because you're not going to want to win it. Whether he wins it, I would tell him that he should go with full power in any punch that he throws.
It certainly would seem that if somebody needs a knockout, it's Hopkins.
Well, again, those early swing rounds, depending on whose favor they go in, might determine the fight.
Good left hand by Calzaghe. Hopkins comes back with his arms windmilling.
And speaking of swing rounds, here we are in the final one, and they're both fighting hard.
As I always say, the Nevada judges consistently like guys who force the fight, push action. That's how you had the controversy with Trinidad when he fought with Oscar, and always throughout history. So, according to the way they score, I would have Calzaghe winning according to Nevada's scoring system.
It was a given when you compare their styles that Calzaghe would be the aggressor. The only question was whether Hopkins' counter-aggression would befuddle him and ultimately upend him. It certainly looked in the first few rounds as though it was more than possible. But then Calzaghe got his rhythm going in the middle rounds.
That knockdown in round 1 scored by Hopkins also seems to loom large at the moment.
Indeed. As does the fact that no point was ever deducted for the 2 times that the fight was stopped because of low blows by Calzaghe. And incidentally, it's Hopkins who came in with the low blow reputation.
The predator in this fight is definitely Calzaghe. He said the tempo all the way.
Joe Calzaghe with a professional record of 44 wins, no losses. 18 years since the last time he lost a fight as an amateur. Bernard Hopkins trying for his 3rd straight win in the light heavyweight division after an epic career as a middleweight. Calzaghe chasing Hopkins down the stretch. Hopkins holding on as the seconds tick away. And they fight past the bell. Let's take a look at the three judges who have the responsibility of choosing a winner. Adelaide Bird. This was her 40th title fight. She was one of the three judges who scored the landslide for Calzaghe over Lacey. Chuck Jampa, by far the most veteran of the three judges here, had what most ringsiders would regard as the right score in Mayweather De La Hoya. Mayweather winning 116-112, winning 8 of the 12 rounds. And Ted Gimza of Illinois. 9 previous title fights. It wasn't difficult to find Juan Diaz leading Julio Diaz 79-73, and we don't know much beyond that about him. Harold Letterman, what's your final scorecard show?
You know, Jim, I'll tell you something. In my eyes, it wasn't a tough fight to score. I mean, I saw the monstrous Bernard Hopkins right hand in the first round. But after that, I mean, Joe Calzaghe was all over him. 9 rounds to 3, 116, 111, Joe Calzaghe. He was the aggressor. He landed more punches. I thought he landed the cleaner punches. Bernard never landed any clean left hands the whole fight.
And he won the last 5 rounds on your card.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was not that about it. He was chasing him down the whole fight.
All right. So we'll get the decision here in a moment as both Hopkins and Calzaghe played to the crowd. Ultimately, I think it was a pro-Calzaghe house. Perhaps a few more Welshmen than Americans here. And perhaps quite a number of Americans who rooted for Calzaghe because of his more crowd-pleasing style. That's Mackie Shilstone there talking to Hopkins, the physical conditioner who has done so much for fighters like Hopkins, Roy Jones, Michael Spinks. CompuBox numbers found Calzaghe landing 232 total punches, by far the most ever landed by an opponent in 21 Hopkins fights counted by CompuBox. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of the Planet Hollywood Resort Casino of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecard. Adelaide Bird scores it 114-113 for Bernard Hopkins. Ted Gimza scores it 115-112 for Joe Calzaghe. Chuck Jampa scores it 116-111 to the winner by split decision. From Newbridge, Wales, still undefeated, and now recognized by Ring Magazine as the new linear light heavyweight